Chance to do a Christmas Eve service. If anybody is interested, let me know. We did our first Christmas Eve last year. It was wonderful. So if you're interested in doing Christmas Eve, let me know. And the music today, some hints about music. The Masaka kids, you're going to see a dance this morning. They are all orphans. They're in Uganda. Uganda has 2.4 million orphans. You'll see the village is dirt poor, literally. So what we have is people coming in, teaching the kids how to read and write, and they're using music as therapy to make them laugh and to make them smile and to make them to see what there is around them. And what you see is genuine. Now, we saw a movie last night, and it was from Zaire Kenosha. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. The same type of dancing. It's a genre dancing in that part of Africa. It looks like island dancing, actually. Okay, this first hymn, you'll know the music, but the words have changed. Original Thanksgiving music was written to celebrate the slaughter and defeat of the Spanish armies in the Netherlands. Most people don't realize when they sang the original Thanksgiving thing, it was not about Thanksgiving at all. It was about slaughtering the Spanish armies. So the words have been changed. And I think you might like the brass and timpani from all places, Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska. It may be the only liberal church in town. I think you'll enjoy it. The last hymn is a very, very interesting German hymn. The pastor was in Eilenberg, buried several thousand people in a plague. It was a walled town at the end of the 30 Years' War, buried his wife, and his kids were left, and they said, "What do we do?" And he said, "We're always thankful." And I'm trying to imagine what we were like in a walled town, and you lost half the population, and somebody says, "We can always find rooms to be thanks." In the middle, we have a Native American song and a Spanish song, all about gratitude. All right, having said that, let's remind ourselves this is not a Thanksgiving about taking land from people that's not ours, nor giving people the plague. It's a time for gratitude. All right, now, two other things upcoming. For those of you that are visiting, sorry about this. Our budget will be being discussed, and what we do is we share the budget. For those of you who are new, you will be shocked. Our budget this year is a whopping $4,000. That shocks everybody. That's it. People assume to have a church, you have to have thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. That's probably true, but for us, we have traveled light. So our budget probably in the next year will be 5 or 6 at the most, but Zoom has been very helpful, and your contributions have been very, 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 very helpful as well. But you'll hear more about that. And finally, in 2021, we want to have a long-range planning committee. Things are going really, really well. That's the time to plan for long range. Not when things are a disaster, but when things are happening good, that's when you plan for the future. That way you've got lots of latitude to work and think and brainstorm. So more about that in 2021. Serge is on today, and we'll ask if we had some gathering music by Oscar. Our memorial candle, for those of you who ever wish to do this and be with us, if you have a candle at home, you can light the candle. We begin by having a memorial candle, and we light the candle today in memory of the over 250,000 people who have died from COVID in our country alone. We light the memorial candle in sadness that nobody seems to be in charge of dealing with this disease and this horrible, horrible virus. So we keep the candle lit in hope, in memory, and thanksgiving for those first responders to those who are so sick in the hospitals. Our introit from Uganda, if you would, Serge. Read the big R's, I'll read the V for versicle. A thankful heart is not only the greatest virtue, but the parent of all virtues. Giving thanks for abundance is greater than abundance itself. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us. Let us rise up and be thankful, for if we did not learn a lot today, at least we learned a little, and if we did not learn a little, at least we didn't get sick. And if we got sick, at least we didn't die. So let us all be thankful. And together, silent gratitude isn't very much to anyone. And our opening hymn is from First Plymouth Church in Lincoln, Nebraska. A classmate of mine at Union Theological Seminary, when I was at Port Orange, UCC, he was there. We were friends for many, many years. He is now retired. I am not. He's up in Maine where it's a bit warm today. Not. Melissa is going to read the morning prayer for those of us who wish. She's going to read the first line. I will read with you the indented. If you would, Melissa.
For the laughter of the children.
For my own breath, life breath, for the abundance of food on this table.
For the ones who prepared this sumptuous feast, for the roof over our heads.
The clothes on our backs, for our health.
And our wealth of blessings.
For this opportunity to celebrate with family and friends, for the freedom to pray these words. Without fear,
in any language,
in any
faith,
in this great
country,
whose
landscape is
as vast and beautiful as her
inhabitants.
Thank you, God, for giving us all these things. Amen.
Amen.
And now we have the circle dance, a Native American dance of gratitude.
Was none of them found to return and give praise to God except this foreigner?
And then Samantha is going to lead us in a responsive reading. We will read the indented part.
Some came here looking for solace. Some came here and gave it to them.
Some came here seeking music. Some came here and gave it joyfully.
Some came here seeking laughter. Some came here and created it.
Some came here seeking learning, growth.
Some came
here and provided it.
Some came here looking for a sense of security, a safe haven. Some came here and provided it.
Some came here seeking an escape from hectic lives. Some came here and enabled them to have it.
Some came here seeking the joy of community, and some came here and created it.
Some came here
wanting to serve.
Some came here and made it possible for them. And everyone, we thank them all. We are now hearing a poem, and I hope you guys pay good attention to this, because this is an incredible take on what it means to be a human being. It's written by Rumi, who was born in Afghanistan, which at that time was part of the Greater Persian Empire. He was a Muslim, a Sufi, but he saw things. He was a mystic. And I found this particular poem a marvelous thing for gratitude, but in a very unique and unusual way. If you'd be so kind, Melissa.
This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.
Our next music was an interesting piece of work. The Colombians and the Cubans both tried to come up with some music. It took an Anglo to say, how about something like with a nice beat, like merengue, like, gratitude. Here we go. Serge, if you would, and I can't pronounce this. Que bonita es esta vida?
You got it.
Mercy. Do it, George. We've done the music here. We've gone from Dutch classical music and timpani to Colombian music from the coast to Native American music. How we do that, is this congregation nuts? Yes. Any other questions? This is what we do. We mix it up all the time. And then we heard harpsichord as we began, classical harpsichord. And then we'll have a very Teutonic German one from a very, very sad time to end it all. It's All Souls. A moment. Grant us, we ask, to speak, to hear, and to learn, so that our fears may be banished, our minds may become enlightened, our faith be increased, and our steps directed towards you. Amen. I was following what my colleagues were trying to come up with for Thanksgiving. And I am reminded regularly in our tradition, it's not about the clergy. It's about everybody. It's about everybody. So I decided, rather than fuss about what I think about Thanksgiving, why not do the right thing and ask you what you thought about Thanksgiving in terms of what are you thankful for? Not the holiday that's been kind of totally misappropriated, but what is it like? What is something that you feel thankful about? And as you would imagine, I was delighted beyond belief when I got your answers. And I put it on Facebook too. And I got back similar answers on Facebook. It was absolutely delightful. And I see, by the way, we want to welcome Kay from Port Orange and Gail and Tom from Port Orange, as well as Danny from up the street, JJ Higuera. More of us today. So here's some things that people talked about. Children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. I'm actually going to read these in a minute. A lot of you talked about a companion or a spouse. Many of you were thankful for just being alive. A lot of you are thankful about nature. Many of you mentioned hounds. One of you mentioned a cat. I have to be fair. Some of you actually like cats.
Yes, we do. But I don't have one.
Thank you. Moving on.
I thought I was on mute. I'm so sorry.
Why? We always do that in this group. And that's nothing new. That's nothing new. All right. Some of you remembered, and I think we ought to remind ourselves that this is not a so radical that we don't forget certain things. Some of you remembered veterans, the military, and the police. Some fun stuff. Some of you remembered hot tubs, grocery deliveries, Uber Eats. I have no idea what an Uber Eat is. Someone will have to educate me. And Amazon delivery. Christopher says, I'm thankful for my life, my health, and my new job. Whoa, good for you, Christopher. I'm glad you got a job, especially now. So here I'm going to read to you some of the things that people wrote. Thankful for my 13 great-grandchildren. Think about that. 13 great-grandchildren. Kay, I'm not supposed to mention names, but she is married to a long time friend from Port Orange. And they've been married for several years now. And she has 13 great-grandchildren. And she is up to date. Oh, Chris is a temperature screener. Be safe,
Yes.
Chris. Be safe.
Oh, of course.
Be
Definitely.
safe. So we've got great-grandchildren, pets, and Don is the one who reminded us, don't forget the military and veterans as well, and the good police. Okay, we had somebody who wrote in that they're thankful for their 3 wonderful sisters. Sometimes we remember that people have great siblings. I know right now when we've got a lot of people at home, I ask my students, do any of you have siblings you're ready to put in the microwave? Hands go up everywhere. There are lots of you that have wonderful siblings. Here's another one. I want to save that one. I'm grateful for the loving support of my family, my husband, especially during trying times. I'm grateful for a roof over my head and food in my belly. I am grateful for my dog, her big brown eyes, her warm, furry body, and her complete devotion. I am thankful that at my age, I still have my husband in my life who comforts and assures me that I'm not dying of whatever I think I have at the moment. I thought that was wonderful. I'm thankful I have good memories of my parents. I'm thankful for 2 little schnauzers. I'm thankful for a roof over my head for the last 44 years. I am thankful for unlimited opportunities to download books for home personal connections. I'm thankful for the stars. I love seeing the stars again, being surrounded by nature and beauty. I'm surrounded by my best companion for me and gives the name of a dog. And this person always has something which absolutely annoys me because it's so cool. Blessed unrest. Listen to that phrase. She's thankful for blessed unrest. I've got more. I'm thankful for daughters and grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren, another one. My fabulous family, even the ones, especially the ones who died too soon, that I got to know them and have them in my life for a little while. What a marvelous way of dealing with loss, being thankful that you did have them in your life even for a little while. I have some more. This one I think you'll get a big kick out of. I am thankful for 54 years of marriage well lived, or to paraphrase Zorba, marriage, children, house, dogs, cats, the full catastrophe. Let me read that again. That absolutely cracked me up. Marriage, children, house, dog, cats, the full catastrophe. Mercy. Ha! Here's one. I'll get to that in a moment. I have a couple here I want to read, but before I do that, I want to go over that prayer by Rumi, that poem by Rumi. This being human is a guest house. And I think we tend to forget of our lives as being guests, a guest house. Listen to the way he sees things. He's a mystic. I bought a book on Rumi, and it's very clear to me that I am not a mystic. It is very, very clear. Yes, Chris, as we're passing through, in many ways we are. And Rumi sees things that I don't see, but I love his poetry because it gets me to refocus. He has this poem that says, sorrow prepares you for joy. I was really annoyed when I read that. In the first sentence, I said, what is he talking about? Then he said, you know, you get all this junk in you, sorrow comes by and it clears everything out. So new joy, fresh stuff can enter you. I thought that's worth 2 years of psychiatry, going to the psychiatrist office. You don't need to spend all the money on a coach. Read a poem by Rumi. I told my class that this week, by the way. I had them cut it out. I had them cut this one out too this week. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Now, this is annoying. Welcome and entertain them all. Is he out of his mind? What do you mean? Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. Here's the kicker. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. Ah, how that was so good that we get wrapped up. When something happens, it becomes all about us. Our world is caving. Our world is this. All we can think about is And Rumi suggests, wait, you may be being cleared out for some new delight you never even considered. That's another 2 years at a psychiatrist's office. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes because each has been sent as a guide from the beyond. Whoa, you might want to keep this one too. Then I have a couple of other ones I want to read to you. I'm grateful for all the hard times I've had. This is written by a person whose husband died several years ago. She went on to found an incredible institution for working with little children who have issues in Homestead. Her own children have had issues for which they were born, and she's really had a life of a lot of tragedy. But she has turned that around to help others, and in the tragedy she writes, I am grateful for all the hard times I've had. They made me appreciate and be thankful when times are good. Wow. Wow. I survived and am surviving pancreatic cancer. I'm alive. I'm having grandchildren to love. An affirmation. The light burns strong. I'm surprised. I'm for more. I am thankful for my platelet count. I am thankful for a dog that is truly a contributing partner to the family. And this from somebody who has had nothing but tragedy for the last 20 years. They are now in an assisted living facility and have had serious issues. And listen what they write. I'm grateful for the wind in the trees outside my window, for the daily iguana theater in those trees, for the many species of butterflies and birds that cruise by and alight on the nearby branches, for the sunlight, for the colors in the sky at dawn and sunset. And most of all, I'm grateful for God who put this all together with wisdom and love. Now, this person is a very, very strong evangelical, but felt that she could share with us because she knew that we would get to try it in the trees and the sun and the light. And then I had one that I think you will also like, because some things are mentioned in, again, a positive way. My meds. I was absolutely dumbfounded when I said, I'm thankful for my meds. And then I thought, Claus, you're an idiot, really. Where would you be without your meds? Hello? And I'm thinking like, where have you been? Are you on this planet? For my meds. And I think, a lot of us who take meds tend to forget there are people who can't. I had to go pick up, I'm taking this thing called Eliquis because the doctor says, my cardiologist says, you're too hyper. You need this. He says, your hyperactivity doesn't show any signs of changing. Maybe when you hit 80, we'll change your meds. I said, hit 80, are you out of your mind? He said, no. In the meantime, take your medicine. I looked at how much it cost if I didn't have insurance. And that was a wake-up call. Sometimes, we take things and we don't realize how much stuff costs and how much. A true story, I may have said this before, I apologize. We're in Cartagena. Yes, your minister is an idiot, forgot how much medicine he was supposed to take, and for the first time didn't count the amount of cyclosporin, the anti-rejection medicine he was supposed to take, and ran out. So we go to the hospital. They send us to this pharmacy that deals with all kinds of specialized medicine. The lady brings out the exact medicine I have. There's Eliquis, okay. Brings out the exact medicine I'm taking, and I'm ready to pay these hundreds of dollars. It was $40 for stuff I paid hundreds and hundreds of dollars for. I threw a fit, an absolute fit. And Maria says, and she says, calm down. And the lady said, what do we do wrong? What do we do wrong? And Maria told the pharmacist what we paid for that medicine in the United States. And she said, nobody would be alive in Medellin if they had to pay for that. In Cartagena, rather. I mean, just so when she writes my meds, not only can we afford the meds, but being able to have meds to help us. She writes, for getting help when needed. You know, a lot of people get help and they never say thank you. And that's one of the first things she wrote down. And then she says, I love this one too. This ought to be on a wall someplace. For being not okay sometimes. I love that. Being not okay sometimes. Do you ever have days that just rot? You're not okay. And that's okay. And I tend to think, you know, that's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So I was very humbled by these. I beg your pardon and share a couple of things I wrote down. I am thankful for my donor and his family. They didn't tell us who the donor was, although given how crazy I am, I'm not so sure if the family would want to meet me at times. But 33 years into a heart transplant defies description, especially back then. So I'm very grateful for my donor. The other thing that I never really mentioned, I mentioned a couple of times, but not in detail, is on Christmas Day at 1:45 a.m. in 1994, I was at Talbot Recovery Center where I went on my own voluntarily to learn about alcohol. And I had a religious experience. I can't explain it because words don't work. I've tried giving up on that. But something profound happened to me that I was totally unexpected. And if I have anything at all to offer today as a friend, or as a vicar, or as a minister, or as a teacher, it's because of that one experience. And I never really mentioned that. I'm thankful for my ancestors' genes, the ones that got me in detention all the time in grade school, the motor mouth that continually gets me in trouble, but gave me a high metabolism that metabolized the toxicity of the medicine that killed everybody that was supposed to be a lifesaver. My ancestors bequeathed genes to me, and I would love to meet them. I would love to say thank you for making me in detention, but at the same, and getting me in trouble with my mouth, but you kept me alive. I'm thankful for Maria Teresa. I have had terrible relationships, absolutely terrible. I have been married before. The women were fine. I was the mess. This is not on them. Maria Teresa and I have been together 21 years. It is the finest, healthiest relationship I've ever had. I'm thankful for her family, which is incredible. Did I ever tell you we went to move? I went to move to Maria's house. They all showed up. The brothers all showed up, just like that. They showed up, the whole bunch of them. And they said, you know, we're Colombian. That means you're in our family now. I said, really? They said, how do you get along with your family? I said, don't ask. Well, you're in our family now. And they all arrived. It's been that way ever since. I'm thankful for friends and students. All of you teach me regularly. I don't know if you can enjoy how delightful it is to learn stuff on a daily basis, even when you're ancient of days. I'm thankful for crazy energy. I'm thankful for the desire to learn. I'm thankful for the joy of all souls and my students, both of whom keep me alive daily. I'm thankful for dogs. From 1985 to 1999, I was alone. And through all of that, I had a wire-haired dachshund and an enormous deerhound. Oh God, I forgot, and a cat. How can I forget the cat? Ah, the cat. How can I forget the cat? Yes. And these three idiots kept me alive. And I'll never forget the doctor, the cardiologist said to me, your dogs will know you're better than before I will. Yes. And finally, I want to thank you all because you told me something in the last several weeks that I never paid attention to. And if I get a bit weepy, I apologize for that, but something I have never paid attention to. One thing you keep on telling me is, Kenneth, you always talk about your ancestors, but you could have all the right genes, but you have to make the right choices. You made the right choices. I never thought about that. I never, ever, I buried that. Because when I was growing up, you weren't allowed to talk about doing things right. It was always the things you did wrong. It was always the emphasis on why haven't you done this? Why haven't you done that? So there was never any really affirmation of doing something right. So doing the right, making the right choices, you have reminded me. And finally, I want to thank you all for helping me let go. I really was at fault for my last full-time congregation because of the alcohol. I knew better and I wouldn't do it. Classic alcoholism. I have been holding that guilt since 1994. I have been holding that. And finally, I've been able to let go. I've been able to let go because of you as a congregation giving me the freedom to grow. I've been able to let go because there's so many from that former congregation coming with us on Sundays to hold my hand again. So for all of that, and for all of you, and for all of your Thanksgivings, for those of you who, Christopher, taking temperatures, for those of you who are in Connecticut, show us how a joy room of joy and quiet, for Melissa who shares triumphs, for Nick who shows us how to survive and go it and do it right, for all of you, I cannot thank you enough for your gratitude, the way you survive. Ed is taking medicine too, and he's here with us every Sunday, like the good old days in 1970 when we first met. What a joy that in this day and age, with so much anger and so much finger pointing, we can take time out and hold hands and give genuine gratitude. What a joy. And thank you all. Blessings and peace. Oscar, would you give us some transition music as we remember others? Because the others we remember are us too. And so in a time when there is so much division, let us pull together. And I'd ask you to read with me, if you would, together when you're at your homes, for the following. It's called Prayers and Thoughts for All Who Wish. Whether you believe in prayer or you believe in just good thoughts, they both have the same end. And if you read quietly as I read these, if you would, for the poor and the unfortunate, for the sick and the suffering, for the tempted and bereaved, for the forgotten and lonely. One more time, for the poor and the unfortunate, for the sick and the suffering, for the tempted and bereaved, for the forgotten and lonely. Let us offer a prayer or a thought this day and every day. May it be so. Amen. A time of quiet, and then Oscar, if you would prepare us for a meal. Know that there are many ways to welcome people. Christianity will again show much division about Jesus's meal. At All Souls, we take the Jewish approach. We remember that long before Jesus was born, the idea of having bread and a common cup to welcome the stranger is even found way back, long before Jesus died, not only in Hebrew communities, but other communities throughout the Middle East and Southeast Asia. Jesus was infamous for offering bread and cup and sharing meals with everybody. And the Gospels record that he got in much trouble for this. Following that direction then, we started, when we began All Souls, to offer what we call a simple Jesus meal. By that we mean we took a common cup and we took a common plate with some bread. And for those for whom it worked, we took the bread and we broke it and we put it in the cup, in the plate, and we asked those if they would come forward. They would each take bread and then they would hold it, and then we'd come around with the common cup and people who would dip into the common cup, but then we would stop. We would stop because this did not work for everybody, and we made sure that everybody came together, and we formed one giant circle to remind ourselves that the meal for us is not divisive, but one. And somewhere, somehow, along the way, we became these famous sayings that we repeat after the meal. And I'll ask you to repeat after me. Promise me you'll remember.
Promise me you'll remember.
You are braver than you believe.
You are braver than you believe.
Stronger than you seem.
Stronger.
Than you seem.
And smarter than you think.
And smarter
than you think.
God didn't promise
God didn't
God didn't promise
days without pain,
days without
laughter without sorrows,
Laughter without
sorrows,
sun without rain.
sun without rain.
rain.
But the divine did promise
But the divine did promise
strength for the day,
strength.
Strength for the day.
comfort for the tears,
Comfort
for the tears,
and light for the way.
and light
and
for
light
the
for the
way.
way.
Now, for those of you visiting this morning, you may think this is a nice way to end the service. Actually, it's not. that laugh should give it away. Yes, if you're visiting, you're going to see that is a black chip. And you're going to say, Claus, what are you doing with a black chip? Yes. Yes. This we stole, we didn't even borrow, we stole it from Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous. They have a
Okay.
I think we lost the Reverend. 1 second. Please stand by. The Reverend will be right back. His power went out. Oh, impeccable timing.
Perfect timing. Can I wait till after we're done?
Oh, infallible technology.
Yeah, that's technology for you.
You know, he could go on using his cell phone. The same thing happened to me when I was with a group on Zoom, and that's what I did.
Oh, very true.
Because when our electric goes out, our internet goes out too. I don't know if that's true for everyone.
Yep, yeah, the Wi-Fi, once the power goes out, the Wi-Fi goes out, so.
Yeah.
If you got like a battery backup,
Yeah, or a generator.
what do you call
Maybe you could text him and ask him to go on his phone.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let me tell him.
He'll be confused. He'll probably be like, what?
Do you want to talk to the people?
Oscar, are you still here?
Yes, I'm here.
Could you bless us with some of your music, please?
Of course.
Thank you. Thank
About a little ragtime, Oscar.
A little ragtime, my goodness.
Ragtime, nice, nice.
Ragtime.
My favorite.
This is a time before you leave. If you have anything that's bothering you, now's the time to hold up a black chip. But before we do it, does anybody have to return a black chip? Does anybody work through something they need to return? Anybody need to return anything? All right. Has anybody had one of those weeks, or they're anticipating a week where they need to let go? Does somebody need to hold up a black chip? Anybody need to hold up a black chip? Yes, one. We got one. Okay. Anybody else? Two. Anybody else? Two. That's it? Okay. Don't forget, if you need a black chip, to let me know and we will send you black chips. All right. Our conclusion for today is taken from a prayer. Then we have a hymn and a final blessing. May the blessings of God be upon us in this hour and in the days to come, that we may seek the truth more devotedly, that we may think more independently, that we may reflect more searchingly, that we may know ourselves more completely, we may forgive more quickly, we may pray more thoughtfully, we may act more courageously, we may live more nobly. A hymn written in 1635. The pastor had buried 4,000 people, including his wife. We'll listen to a little of it, and then we'll have a final blessing that'll be a responsive blessing. If you would, Serge. May the sun bring you new energy by day, and may the moon softly restore you by night. May the rain wash away your worries. May the breeze blow new strength into your being. May you walk gently through the world and know its beauty all the days of your life.
All the days of your life.
May the words of Jesus guide you, and may the blessings of the divine abide within you this day and every day. Amen. Before you go, we want to say a special hello to everybody here today, reminding you that we meet the second and fourth Sundays of the month and Christmas Eve, if you're interested. We say hello to Mary and Donald over in Tampa. Serge, thank you very much for pinch hitting for Margarita. Very good the first time. Excellent. All the way from First Church in Saugus, now in Florence, South Carolina, is Ed. Melissa is with us today. Kim, all the way up from the Wisconsin-Illinois border. Nanette in Connecticut. Nick here. Christopher's here. Rick and Judy are here. Oscar, who had his hair combed and frightened us. Pat Sullivan from New York. I'll give you the Sundays in December and Christmas Eve if you wish. All right?
I want to say so long from Maureen because she...
Be safe. Be well. Mask up. Peace to you all.
Thank you, Ken.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Thank you very
everybody.
much.